Hey everybody, how's it going today? Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. The Seahawks are still keeping busy, as they should, by the way. We got some news this morning. Technically, we got indications that this was happening last night, but this morning we finally got more official confirmation of our interest in a certain player. And that player is Aldon Smith. According to PFT, he's visiting with the Seahawks today. Smith has an undeniable talent and was among the best pass rushers in the NFL in his first two seasons in the league, but that was way back in 2011 and 2012. A series of off field problems saw him miss 4 years from 2016 to 2019 before he returned to the Cowboys in 2020. You guys kind of know the Aldon Smith story. One, he spent most of his career on a division rival, and two, he's historically played very well against the Seahawks. So if you're a Seahawks fan, you probably know this guy one way or the other. So, Aldon Smith was a name I mentioned a couple times in the offseason before free agency started, and I continued to like him, and I continued to think that he was a player the Seahawks should at least consider bringing in. As we brought in more pass rushers, I kind of put him out of my mind, but it seems like the team feels like they can still get better in this regard and are still interested in possibly bringing in Aldon. So let's talk about it for a minute and see what we can figure out about this because while I like this and I like in general just having an interest in signing more good players and trying to bolster this roster as much as possible, there is clear a clear issue with bringing in Aldon Smith that we'll get to. So first, don't expect Aldon Smith to be signed anytime in the next couple of days or even the next couple of weeks, as Michael Gecklin on Twitter kind of outlines here. Not expected to sign with the Seahawks today. Plan is for meeting to determine whether he is someone they'll sign after the draft. And by the way, that kind of goes for everybody the Seahawks could sign at this point. Don't expect anything to really happen until after the draft. KJ Wright, Richard Sherman, AB. At this point, it's probably all going to happen after the draft. Smith led Dallas with 50 QB pressures in 2020. I'm going to have to contest 50 QB pressures personally. If you go to Pro Football Reference and you scroll down to his advanced stats category, they have 20. So somebody's lying, and the truth is actually they're probably both lying. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle, but I think it was more than 20, but I seriously doubt it was 50. So anyway, Aldon Smith, good player, good pass rusher, still has something left in the tank. I think he's going to be 32 this season, should turn 32 near the start of the regular season. Took 4 years off before last season, so he should be plenty fresh and plenty good to go. Played very well for the Cowboys last year. Let's, however, try to figure out what his role might be. So let's go to our depth chart here and take a look at our defense. There's a clear and obvious issue with bringing in Aldon Smith, and it's a good problem to have, but it is still a problem that we need to figure out. So, if we brought in Aldon Smith, what position would he play? Now, everyone's first instinct is going to be, oh, he's going to be the Leo defensive end, right? He's going to be a Leo. If you take a look at his build, he's 255 pounds. Five techs are typically not that light, so you aren't going to see him play five tech, I don't think. So, yeah, the first instinct will be he's going to be a Leo. Well, that would give us five Leos: Dunlap, Alton Robinson, Daryl Taylor, and Benson Mayowa. Five Leos is probably too much. Somebody's going to get boned out of playing time if that happens. And who's it going to be? Not going to be Dunlap. We just brought him back on a pretty sizable contract, and we know how good he is. I don't want it to be Alton Robinson or Daryl Taylor. They're young. They're on rookie contracts. We got to find out what we got. So I guess it would be Benson Mayowa would just be completely a garbage time level player, which is kind of weird because you could have just brought in a UDFA or a veteran minimum rookie to do that. You didn't need to get a decent veteran for it. Some people might say, well, we could cut Benson Mayowa, but cutting him is actually more expensive than just keeping him by about $1.75 million. I looked it up. We actually owe him $4 million against the cap if we cut him. I don't think that's a good idea. So, okay, what else can we do here? How can we make playing time for Aldon Smith make sense? Could Alton Robinson move to 5 tech? Eh, I'm not really enthusiastic about that. Could Benson Mayo? Okay, I'm not even going to say it. I'm not even going to finish that sentence because I can't say it with a straight face. No, no, no. I don't think there's anything we can do there. So, if we are indeed bringing in Aldon Smith, what is it going to be for, and how are we going to make this work with the roster? Because can't really cut any of these guys. Doesn't make any sense to do so. Can't really move any of the players over to another position unless, and this is where things get a little more interesting, what if we're doing this to try to fill the Sam linebacker role? As you can see, I still don't have a Sam linebacker on the roster for the Seahawks. I think there are some players who could potentially fill that role, but as of right now, I find the Sam linebacker spot to be a big question mark. And I will concede that Sam linebacker is not that big of a deal in the NFL right now. They don't get on the field but 35 to 40% of the snaps. But that's still 35 to 40% of the snaps. That's 20 to 25 snaps a game, probably. So, could we be bringing in Aldon Smith to play Sam linebacker? Because Sam linebackers rush the passer a lot. Bruce Irvin was our Sam linebacker last year, and he rushed the passer plenty. Could that be what we do here? I tried to look up some stuff on Aldon Smith to get an idea of whether or not he has the coverage skills necessary to play the Sam linebacker spot. The only thing I could find was this Sports Illustrated article from early October of last year, where they make a brief mention of his reasonable effectiveness in coverage. In this sentence right here. In weeks 2 and 3, his adequacy in coverage was tested by two of the best quarterbacks in the league, Matt Ryan and Russell Wilson, and Smith appeared to hold his own. Now, appeared to hold his own is very vague and not particularly educational for us. It doesn't really tell us whether or not he's able to keep up with tight ends in coverage or running backs in coverage. It it doesn't tell us a whole heck of a lot, unfortunately. But it seems to at least be on the table that Aldon Smith has it in his skill set to handle the Sam linebacker spot. I don't think Bruce Irvin was a great cover player, or at least he wasn't last year, but we still trusted him in that role. And while we will never know how it would have worked out if he had stayed healthy, it seems to me that it was working out okay through the first couple of games at least. So is that where we slot in Alton Robinson or Aldon Smith? Is that where we slot in Aldon Smith? And if not, if we decide we don't want to waste his prodigious pass rushing talent on playing linebacker, what else could we do? Could it be somebody else moving to Sam linebacker? That's a discussion for another time. But suffice to say, bringing in Aldon Smith is probably a good idea, but it will require some flexibility on the part of this defensive coaching staff and some savvy use of our depth to make work. What do you guys think? Do you want him, Aldon Smith? What position do you want him to play if he comes here? Do you not want Aldon Smith? What kind of contract would you be willing to give him? Do you imagine he's going to be a Vetman plus player? That's kind of what I'm thinking right now. Would you be willing to give him more than that? Let me know. I'm going to get out of here. Peace out. Go Hawks. Hey, the team clearly wants to continue to get better no matter how much they've done this offseason. And I have nothing but positive things to say about that. However, there is the point of needing to figure out where these players slot in. So we'll see. We'll see. But don't expect any confirmation of this signing until, like I said, after the draft. It's just, hey, it's that time of the year.